Hello and welcome to Growing in Uncertainty. My name is Tess Miller, and through my coaching and sound healing business, Wings Unfolded, I help people who are feeling stuck in some area of their life and they're ready to get unstuck. And I've been doing these videos for around a year now. I apologize. I have a new setup with my with my camera and everything, and I feel like I got it set a little bit too low. But we'll go with it for today. Anyway, so I've been doing these videos for a little over a year now, and I took a couple weeks off because I needed a little bit of a break, and it was the holidays. So I hope all of you had a wonderful, restful, happy, healthy holiday season. Holidays can be a blessing or a curse sometimes for people, but hopefully yours were more of the blessing kind. So anyway, today I thought I would talk about, since we just celebrated the new year, I wanted to talk about how I'm making that transition from one year to the next, and a little tradition that I have imposed on myself in the last couple of years. And then I wanted to talk about some of the offerings that I have coming up in 2022. So thank you so much for being with me today. So my tradition, whenever we transition from one year to the next, I know a lot of people have their own ideas about what they want to do with the new year. Some people set intentions or resolutions. For me, I like to do something that involves setting myself up to learn about myself and to foster my own growth over the course of an entire year. I don't like to set intentions or resolutions, mainly because what I have found in the past is that life changes. Life can throw curveballs, unexpected curveballs, and then all of a sudden, if you're no longer able to stay on the path of your resolution or your intention, a lot of feelings of self-blame or shame can come up. But if it's out of your control, it's out of your control. So anyway, that's one of the reasons I like to leave myself open to whatever the year has to offer to me. So what I do instead is I set a focus word for myself. And if you watched my video from last year around the new year, you may remember that my focus word for 2021 was the word freedom. And just to give you an idea about how I go about choosing my focus word, I choose my focus word based on what I feel like I'm lacking in my life, or where I feel like I need to learn more about myself. And at the start of this past year of 2021, I felt like I didn't have a lot of freedom in my life. There was the pandemic, which was encouraging all of us to kind of stay put. At the time, I was unable to work at some of my jobs that I normally work in. And it was just a very uncertain time. It still is, but at that time it was, very much up in the air about what was going to happen with everything. And I felt very stuck. I didn't feel very free to move forward in my life. And so I decided to look into what the word freedom meant to me over the course of the year. And I definitely learned a lot about freedom. I definitely learned how to establish more freedom in my life within restriction. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, one example is, for example, something that happened in my household today. I guess today was a review of what I learned over the last year. Today, my husband's check engine light came on, and he needed to deal with that. And, whenever something unexpected happens in life that kind of imposes a restriction, like, oh, I thought I was going to be able to do this, but now I have to stop and I have to reorganize my day and do this instead. We have some choices in that moment. So the restriction doesn't completely bind us up. It doesn't make us completely immobile. We do have choices in that moment. You can either do something about it or not do something about it, choose to ignore it. You can choose to react very angrily, which I admit I did. And I'll talk more about that later, because that actually ties into my focus word for 2022 kind of brilliantly. So today was kind of a big day. It was a day of wrapping up 2021's focus word, but also setting into motion exactly what I need to learn in 2022. But anyway, you can choose, like I did today, to get very angry and upset about what was happening and the change in the day, in the structure that needed to happen, and the change in the finances, because it is kind of an expensive fix, unfortunately, that has to happen. Or you can choose to accept what is happening. And, acceptance doesn't necessarily mean that you like what's happening. It just means that you're acknowledging that this is something that's not going to go away by getting angry at it. It's that's not necessarily how life works. The more angry about something, the better your life gets. I'm not sure that has ever happened for anyone. I don't know. Maybe it has. But anyway, for what I've noticed is that when I can allow and accept what's happening in my life, I stop resisting. And I know I've talked about that in past videos before, that it's when we're in resistance mode that we actually make ourselves stay stuck in a situation, whether it's resisting what happened to a car or to a relationship or to a job or whatever it is. When you're resisting it and getting angry and blaming other people or blaming yourself, that keeps you stuck in a certain place. Whereas if you can accept it and say, all right, this happened, now what do I want to do with it? How do I want to respond? In that response, you are actually taking action. And when we take action in our lives, that can alleviate so much anxiety and so much strife, and it can get us to the next step. So that's what I mean about looking for the freedoms within the restrictions that happen in our lives. Here's another example. One of the things that I noticed, and I'm sure all of us noticed, is that there's a different response to whether or not we want to wear masks out in public. And no judgment at all whatsoever. It is people's choice what they want to do in public with the masks. And there are so many different ways you can look at that situation. If you wear a mask, you keep people safe. If you wear a mask, you have a hard time breathing. If you wear, different people have different experiences and viewpoints and perspectives on wearing the mask. But when you view the mask as a restriction that you have to do, that's being imposed on you, of course you're going to react to it as, I don't want to do this, and you're going to start resisting it. Whereas if you look at it from the perspective of, what if I choose to wear my mask? What are the reasons why I would want to wear my mask? Or the other way, what if I choose to not wear my mask? What are the reasons that I do not want to wear my mask? Then you are creating choice within something that seems very restrictive. I don't know, maybe that's not the world's best example, but it's how I'm looking at that freedom, that idea that when there is a restriction imposed, we always have choice. We are always at choice with what we want to do with that restriction. And therein lies the freedom. So I did learn a lot about different aspects of freedom that I needed to learn for myself. I learned, for example, how to set more boundaries for myself. And I know boundaries doesn't seem like it would provide freedom, but what it actually did is it broke me free of toxic relationships in my life because I set those boundaries. Again, there's another example of when we create restrictions in our lives, we actually become more free. I know it's an oxymoron, but that is what I noticed over the course of this year. When there was more restriction, there was actually more freedom. So anyway, just an interesting juxtaposition that I wanted to present to you. I did learn also that freedom isn't necessarily doing whatever you want to do whenever you want to do it. I noticed on days when I had total freedom, like there's nothing on my plate today. What do I want to do? Oftentimes I would have no idea where to start. And it was kind of a terrifying experience in a way. So again, that idea of creating a little bit of restriction, or maybe instead of putting it as restriction, maybe looking at it as structure, creating that structure in your life can actually help you experience more of the kind of freedoms that you want to experience. So that was 2021. On to 2022. Again, just a reminder that when I choose a focus word, I'm looking at what I'm feeling like I need to learn over the course of this coming year. It's usually something that I'm not good at. Like I said, I was not good at freedom at the beginning of last year. Now I feel like I've learned some stuff and I feel like I can go someplace with my freedom. But for this year, the word that really resonated with me that I feel like I need to really focus on and work on is the word surrender. And I know from talking with a friend of mine, I presented my word to my friend and she said, "Oh my gosh, you're giving up? You're waving the white flag already? What's happening?" And I said, no. That's not what surrender means to me. What surrendering means to me is going one step further with the idea of accepting and allowing what's happening in my life. Surrendering is surrendering to the emotions that come up. Surrendering is really embodying the entire experience of whatever is happening in the present moment, surrendering to that moment. And in my hope is that when I can learn how to surrender a little bit more in my life, I will be able to find my next steps from a place of authenticity, from a place of, what my next best step could be. Surrendering is really about following where my heart takes me rather than my head. Oftentimes I know I have a tendency to try to think my way out of everything. If a problem comes up, and it makes sense, right? Like we have to think about things, we have to process things in our heads and be able to think about things from different angles. But sometimes I can get so far removed from what my heart is telling me that I can think myself into a solution that actually doesn't align with how I'm feeling, or it doesn't align with who I am and what kind of life I want to create for myself. So anyway, I'm hoping that over the course of this year, I can surrender a little bit more. And, instead of trying to force things to make sense in my life or trying to force things to happen in my life, I want to be able to surrender to the uncertainty of what's going on right here and let my life unfold. You know, my business name is Wings Unfolded. It kind of makes sense that I should, or I would want to allow my life to unfold rather than trying to figure it out all the time. Something else that I also hope to learn about surrendering is letting go of my expectations. I notice for myself that I have a tendency to really want life to go a certain way, and that's having expectations, right? I set forth on a project and I envision how I want it to look like, how I want it to take shape, but the minute something changes that shape, it can throw me into complete chaos and confusion. And instead of going there, I would love to be able to surrender to what's happening and to allow it to take me in a direction that might be better for me in the long run. Oftentimes, when I look back in my life on when things didn't go the way I expected them to, I can see how it actually turned out better than I hoped or had hoped. So I'm hoping that I can allow more of those kinds of, this or something better moments. When I'm trying to ask for guidance of the universe, or when I'm in meditation, I will make a wish, and at the end of that wish, I'll say this or something better, because I don't necessarily want to limit myself to my expectation or to my vision, because there might be something even better waiting for me. So allowing myself to surrender to what is best for me might not always look like what I want, but it might just be what I need. So I also hope that surrender means that I can surrender to the experience of whatever is happening in the moment. Again, as I mentioned earlier, I did not succeed in that so much today. When my husband's check engine light came on, I eventually surrendered to that experience. But initially, I definitely was very upset about it and had very harsh words to myself, to the walls, in my car. And I got it out of my system and finally surrendered to what was. And, life moves on. So anyway, I hope that, my process of choosing a focus word is intriguing to you. If you've ever thought about choosing a focus word for yourself, I do talk a little bit more about my process of choosing a focus word in last year's video, right around this time, in 2021. If you want to go back to when I introduced my focus word of freedom for 2021, you can do that, and you can hear some ideas about how to choose a focus word for yourself. But anyway, that's where I am. I'm going to be surrendering to whatever 2022 has to offer me this year. And I do have some announcements, as promised. I'm hoping that 2022 allows me to help more people with whatever they're experiencing in terms of what's stuck, what is holding them back from creating the life that they've always wanted, or the life that seems to fit them even better. And one of the ways that I'm doing that is through sound baths. I don't know if you've ever heard of a sound bath, but it's basically an opportunity to gather and listen to crystal singing bowls and drums and chimes and other sounds. And the sound helps your body process stress, emotions, thought patterns, so that after the sound bath, people report that they feel so much more clear. They don't have that trapped energy that is preventing them from coming up with solutions and ideas and getting clear about what they want in their lives. So I'm going to be providing some sound baths in the community of St. John's, Michigan. And I might dabble in doing that online. I'm not sure yet. I need to look into some technology so that I can provide the best sound possible. In addition to sound baths, I have opened up a space, a studio in St. John's. So if you want a private sound bath, you can do that with me. I'll hopefully have some information, more information about that on my website soon, very soon. But if you want to set something up with me now, you can go to my website, wingsunfolded.com, and you can, contact me and ask for a sound bath. We can set it up, and we can get you stress-free in moments. I'm also going to be doing coaching in that space, and even a combination of sound baths and coaching. What's amazing is that sometimes in a coaching session, clients can get stuck in their thinking or their emotions. We do a little bit of sound, and all of a sudden the solutions start popping out. So if you want to give that a try, again, send me a message. We'll set something up. I also am planning on offering some group coaching on the Book of Stuck, my book that I wrote in last year. I want to do a 6-week group coaching experience around that book, where we read the book and we do the exercises and we share together about what we're learning about ourselves through those exercises. So if that's something that interests you, please message me. I'm not setting dates or times right now because I want to fill up the class before we actually do it. I'm looking for maybe around 6 people to do this group coaching. And once we have 6, then I will set the date and times. It will be over Zoom to accommodate people who live in other places other than St. John's, Michigan. I'll also be offering 2 other group coaching experiences. The other one is about book birthing. If you've always wanted to write a book, you have a book that's inside of you, but for whatever reason, it hasn't come out yet, I'm going to be doing a group coaching experience that will help you get your book out into the public. So if you're interested in doing that, again, same idea. I need around 6 people in order to make it happen, give or take. And so just send me a message if that's something that you're interested in doing so I can put you on my list. And then finally, there's going to be a group coaching for stress reduction. I know that in this time of tremendous change that we haven't even seen the end of yet, it can be stressful. And when we're feeling that stress, it's hard to think about anything. It's hard to focus. It's hard to sleep. It's hard to eat healthy. It's hard to have good relationships with other people. And so my hope is that I can help people with stress in their lives through coaching and sound and coming up with a self-care regimen that you design for yourself over the course of this group coaching experience. It's going to be tailor-made to you. And that means hopefully that it's more reasonable. It's not something that I give you. It's something that you decide, I'm going to do this for myself. These are the things that I'm going to do to reduce the stress in my life. And then there will be opportunity to share how that regimen is working for you. So really fun, helpful, expansive experiences I hope to be offering in this year. And if you're interested in any of these things, again, please private message me so I can get your name down and let you know when it's time to start scheduling. And if you want to talk with me and get a little bit more specific information, feel free to set up a time to chat with me on the phone or in person if you're in town in St. John's, and we can talk more about that. So thank you so much for being here with me today. I hope this message that I've given you resonates, and I hope that I can help you get unstuck and be more you in 2022. And please like or share these videos. When you do that, it helps more people find them. So if you feel like you're getting some benefit from watching them, and you think other people should really get to hear it, then please like, share, comment, all the things. You can stay tuned to any updates on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and my YouTube channel. I always post these videos there if you want a version that has a title sequence and all of that fun stuff. You can find that there, and you can find all of my other videos there as well. So remember that it's okay to be stuck, but you don't have to stay there. Have an amazing week and take care.